listening to The Chris Maher Show, live on YouTube.
All right, what is up, everybody? Welcome back here to The Chris Maher Show. A lot to talk about this week. Flyers are almost done. 2 games left. Tonight is game 80 of 82. We will preview tonight's game against the Columbus Blue Jackets here at home, the last home game of the season. A couple things for that as well that we'll get into. Phantoms clinch a spot. We'll be talking about that as well. I'm going to try to kind of talk about, has this season really been enjoyable? No guests this week. Next week, I will most likely be having Jay Rosehill on the show, so very excited for that. A couple people in here. Tristan, what's up, brother? Jeffrey, TTP Sports, Amadeo, how you doing, brother? Paul, Philly Season, what's up, brother? Thanks for tuning in with the what's up, babe? Yeah, so again, a lot of different stuff. I got a lot of guests planned, so stay tuned for that announcement too. I'm a little loud on my end. Hope it's not too loud on your side. I'll lower myself a little bit. Again, we'll be talking about a bunch of different things, but again, Phantoms clinch, and pretty good, start for them. There's been a lot of good things that have kind of been happening for Lehigh Valley, and they clinch a playoff spot. We'll kind of be breaking that down in a couple of minutes here of all the logistics and kind of everything behind that, since there's kind of there is a lot to break down, stats wise, and for the remaining 3 games for the Phantoms, it's pretty important. No Tony DeAngelo tonight. That's 4 straight for Tony. That's a weird situation. I'll get into that in a minute. Adam Gidding called up from the Phantoms. No Nick Seeler tonight as well for the Flyers. No Kiefer Bellows either. Team awards for tonight as well. We'll see who kind of wins all of these different awards. Nick Seeler obviously was the Flyers nominee for the Masterton Trophy, which is great, and I'll talk about that in a little bit as well. But I think for really these last couple of games, and this kind of ties into the topic coming up in a little bit here of really how enjoyable has this season been, because I was so frustrated in the game review on Sunday against Boston that I never talked about the actual game. And I was so upset because of the crowd and all of that stuff. And unfortunately, with kind of everything that's been going on, it's been, a lot of really similar type things that have kind of been happening throughout the season, in the sense of, the fans are still upset and you still have that whole type issue, right? And I was really focused on that because that really bothered me again. Like, it didn't bother me as much with the Rangers because I didn't watch that game live. I wasn't actually able to watch that full game. And as that game was kind of progressing, I'm like, oh, well, it's always packed out, for the Rangers. And that game is always packed. And there's always a bunch of Rangers fans there. Well, little did I know that, it was basically Madison Square Garden that night. And that was really the same thing on, the game against Boston on Sunday, on Easter. And I'm sitting there and I'm watching it, and, everything's going on. And I just said to myself, I'm like, you know what, this is really the main topic for the video, because it's just unfortunate. I mean, when you have a season like this, and Torts is right, the only way that you get out of this is winning. If you continue to win, if you continue to have that type of success in wins and playing better and all of that stuff, you will continue to have, like, that will change, and you will have more people at the games. I think it'll be, obviously it'll be, more enjoyable, right? Because, the team itself will be better, and you'll have more fans. There'll be more different things that have kind of been going on with that, as my timer is going off. But let's kind of transfer over here to the Phantoms, and I wanted to really talk about this because the Phantoms, it's been a real bright spot this year for them, in different areas because, you got. Let me just switch this over. Here we go. So the Lehigh Valley Phantoms are heading to the playoffs. And I'm very excited for this Phantoms playoff run. Again, like I mentioned, I have watch parties for these games throughout the playoff run. Once it all kind of gets announced, I'll be announcing the dates that I'm doing the watch party. Unfortunately, I cannot show the game because AHL TV is through a paywall. So I would like to, but I can't. So that's kind of unfortunate. Just going to send this out as well because, I just think for the Phantoms, right? It's really it's important for certain younger guys to get in and for younger players to have that sort of success and be able to grow at the same time. I think for us, we have a lot of players, especially on the Phantoms right now, that could potentially be on our team moving forward. You guys like Forrester, Emil Andre, Bobby Brink. I could go on and on. Elliot Dionnier, Zayd Wisdom, like so many different guys. And Amadeo mentions here the potential players for awards and stuff. And I think a lot of these guys, and this kind of ties in with the Phantoms a little bit because it's like, there's different awards that you can kind of give out. And I'll dive into your comment in a little bit. For the Phantoms, they get in, they clinch with a win on Saturday against Springfield, 4-3 in regulation. They move up from 5th to 3rd. 3 straight goals in the third period for them. It was a good, legit game, right? I mean, they had a pretty good start to that one. Some updated things for the Phantoms. Again, all 3 teams here, Lehigh Valley, Springfield, and Charlotte, all with 3 games left, 69 games played, and they all have 80 points. So that is the one thing they kind of keep in mind. I did do the video on this the other day, but as you kind of see here on the board, there's a lot of different, variables to this, and if the Phantoms were to clinch or kind of keep that same rhythm going. Again, Bridgeport and Wilkes-Barre are eliminated. They're not going to be making the playoffs. Hartford, also, they have 70 games played, as you see here as well. They have 2 games left, but they're 1 point back. So that's kind of the one thing that's a little unfortunate with this is that Hartford and, some of these other teams, it's harder to kind of get in. But with the AHL, it's different because you have more teams that make it. There's 23 teams that make it out of 32. And the 6 make it in the Atlantic Division, with which the Phantoms are in. So basically, it's just say the Phantoms stay at 3, and they finish at 3. They're gonna end up playing. Say if it ended today, it would be the Phantoms against Hartford in a 3-game series because it starts 3 games, then you move on to 5 games, then another 5-game series, then a 7-game series, which is the conference final, and then it ended up being the Calder Cup finals, which is 7 games as well. So, for the Phantoms, it's really important, and I think one of the big things with this is the really close scoring, which the Flyers don't have, right? I mean, the Flyers have, the Flyers have really struggled this year, and I think, Amadeo, what you're, kind of saying here is all these different guys, right? The Bobby Clark Trophy for Tippett, Ashby Trophy for York Risto, Lindbergh, Tippett, Class Guy, Sealer, Toyota Cup, Tippett, or Hart. I was thinking the Toyota Cup might go to Konechny. It did a couple years ago, but he's played less games. And for those who don't know, the Toyota Cup it's a Flyers team award where it goes by the 3 stars of the game. So, like, each guy would get 5 points for first star, 3 for second, 1 for third, and whoever gets the most throughout the year, they win the Toyota Cup. Konechny was the Toyota Cup winner in 1920. But again, the one thing the Phantoms have had that the Flyers haven't is really tight scoring. Forrester 46 points, he leads the team. Elixa with 44, Dinoye with 42. Those are their top 3 scorers. After that, you have Garrett Wilson with 39 points, Cooper Marity with 38 points, Artem Anisimov with 35, Adam Brooks with 32. He had 3 assists game the other night. Ronnie Adard has 30 points, and Ronnie Adard was 151 shots on net, which is really a lot for a defenseman, younger, all of that stuff. Bobby Brink, who's only played 38 games, has 25 points. Louis Belpedio has 26 points in 67 games. Jackson Cates with 23 points in 63 games. Max Woolman, same amount of points in 51 games. Jordy Bellery with 20 points in 58 games. And that's the one thing, is that they're getting a lot of their depth scoring. As you kind of go down the list, Adam Ginning, who was called up for this game, will make his NHL debut tonight. He's had a good season for the Phantoms. He's plus 25 in the AHL, which is very good. He has 19 points on the season, 3 goals and 16 assists. He's more of a defensive defenseman. Was signed, right? Everybody kind of didn't love that signing, but it certainly has paid off for the Phantoms a little bit. Well, not even really a little bit. It's paid off a lot. Igor Zambula with 19 points in 44 games. Again, not everybody's played a full season for the Phantoms. They haven't had many guys that have played, but they've really been able to have the close scoring and be able to kind of use that. And the power play's been pretty good for them, penalty kill as well. But again, overall, just and that's really the signs of a good team, when you have a lot of guys that are playing right, and not even just I guess I should rephrase that, more of in the sense you have a lot of moving parts with the AHL, because guys get called up, and the Phantoms had to go for a while, without Lixel, or without Dinoye, without Forrester. For tomorrow's game, it seems like if Ginning plays the remaining, two games, then the Phantoms won't be playing. He probably won't be playing Wednesday or Friday, because the biggest thing is the games left, right? Exactly, Amadeo. They are a deep team, and that's what happens when you are able to kind of build that. Like Urson's played really well for them. Again, 905, 267 goals against average, 24, 14, and 1. And again, he played up and down this year. Had some really good games in the NHL, good season in the AHL. Ronnie Adard as well, 65 games played. He's plus 9. Again, has 151 shots on net. And he is the quarterback of the power play, 30 points for Adard, and kind of coming up here and playing those 2 games. I thought he looked all right. I liked his game against St. Louis. He had some good moments, had a real big hit. Dallas, I didn't really think many Flyers really stood out in that one. But for the Phantoms, again, it's just, they're deep. They're a good team. They can, they got some speed. They're, again, pretty fast team. A lot of the good things that have been able to come with the Phantoms has honestly, it's been pretty advertised. I mean, when Anisimov, that was a great signing. He's played really well down there, and he's been a pretty big mentor, it seems like. You have guys like Brooks, right, who come in and put up 32 points in 51 games. Brooks, again, 3 assists game last game for the Phantoms. He's had some pretty good moments throughout the year. Cooper Marity, right, originally drafted by the Flyers. Hextall doesn't sign him because of, school and his grades and everything. And it ends up working out. Now he's back as a Phantom. He's got 38 points in 44 games. He scored the other night as well on Friday. And that was the biggest thing for the past weekend for the Phantoms, was they went into it, and if you won both games, it was like, all right, you're playing against Charlotte and Springfield. You win both games, you're going to move up in the standings. And thankfully they were able to do it. I was able to watch the game on Friday night, because the Flyers were on Saturday playing the Islanders, and I really it was a good game. I mean, for and unfortunately, that's what kind of stinks with the AHL, is it's like everything's behind the paywall. So I bought it, and it was I think it was $8 for the game, and it wasn't too bad. But I am buying the deal for the playoffs, which is pretty cheap. I mean, it's only $30 for the entire playoffs. So 2-3 months of games for only $30. It's a pretty good deal. for that game, I'm like, all right, well, let's see what happens because it's a big game. Well, they end up winning that game 5-2, had some good moments. And it's weird. Charlotte seems like a Flyer Phantom reunion. They have Gary Mayhew, Connor Bunneman. Like, they have all of these other guys. There was one other Flyer on their team, former Flyer, former Phantom that I can't remember at the moment. But they had a lot of older players on their team. And I'm thinking to myself, oh, my God. Again, so all these different things have kind of been happening with the Phantoms, and they've had a good run. So we'll kind of see what happens again tomorrow, taking on Bridgeport. It should be a good test because the Islanders they've kind of, it's been a little back and forth with them this year. Phantoms had some big wins against them. Charlotte, that game on Friday, I'm supposed to go to that game. That's the last home game of the year for the Phantoms. That's a big game because, again, like I mentioned, Charlotte, same amount of points, pretty big, similar record, all have the same amount of games played. I think if the Phantoms can win 2 of these next 3, they might be able to clinch that 3rd seed and be able to get home ice advantage, for the first round or 2 here. So that would be nice, especially playing at home because they've had some pretty good games at home this year. And then, Saturday you're in Hershey as well on the road. So 2 out of these next 3 games, they're important, but they are on the road as well, and it's going to be interesting. So let's send it back over. And again, if anybody wants to join in on the conversation, again, call 267-939-1216. So again, Phantoms, good start. Good end of the year, good start of the season for them. And one other thing I wanted to kind of talk about here was honestly just how enjoyable has this season been for you? And I'm curious if anybody wants to call in and tell me what they've kind of liked here. I got Tristan ringing in. Hey,
Chris?
buddy, you're on the air.
What's up?
How are you?
Doing all right. So, what is going on with the tuning thing right now?
Yeah, that's interesting. And I was gonna get into that as well here for this topic. It's interesting. I was a little concerned the other day when Torts had said, he wasn't playing, and then it was, oh well, he's not. Torts was just like, oh, I haven't talked to him. Well, that's concerning, and it doesn't really add up. You have a guy that's.
Did you listen to his pregame earlier today?
I know. I usually don't listen to it until before the game. No.
No, but he barely. I listen having to. I'm half about it, but he barely said he's out, and he was talking to this media. He said. Is he gonna have a chance to play? Then he said he's not gonna have a conversation with that.
Yeah, well, that's the thing, right? Like, something's up there. I really don't know. And again, I don't know anything. I guess off the record of kind of what's going on with that. Like, I'm not too sure, but I will say it is concerning because. You're at the end of the season. Like, Torts isn't even coaching these next 2 games.
No. Rocky's coaching tonight.
Right, yeah, that's what I mean. Like Torts isn't even behind the bench, and he's still not playing. So that's the problem. Is like it's not even Torts behind the bench if that were to be the issue. You know what I mean? So I just kind of look at it like I don't think Tony's been. I don't think D'Angelo's been as bad as everybody's kind of advertised. But I will say it is concerning because, he's got 1 year left and, it doesn't seem like it's going too well. I will say that.
I mean, it's frustrating right now.
Yeah. Well, I mean, for sure. I mean, especially because he's a guy that, everybody talked about that he's the high-end type of talent that they went out and got. And,
and obviously he's from South Philly. Everybody knows about that one.
Right, exactly. I mean, he's from here. He said before he wanted to end his career as a Flyer, all of that stuff. So it's unfortunate because, I would have liked it to maybe go a different way.
It's Tortorella like he's being Tortorella. Well, you're going around like scratching Tony and who else? Frost, Hayes, and Sanheim, and that's it.
Yeah, a lot of guys have been kind of sat for a game here. Like Ristolainen was sat for a game, Sealer was sat for a game. Like, it's not just a couple of guys, but I agree. I mean, I've been I've said it before. I've been frustrated on kind of how some of the scratchings and different things have been managed.
Like who in the world like scratch like a Kevin Hayes?
Well, that's the thing, right? Like I looked at it the other night, and Tony gets scratched after the game in St. Louis, and I'm like, okay, well Hayes gets bumped. He goes from, I believe it was the third line to the second line, and I said to myself, well Hayes played worse than D'Angelo did.
I agree with you with that one. He played worse.
Yeah, he was much worse and clearly wasn't giving much of an effort. And, he ends up playing the next game on a higher line with a totally different coach. And what Rocky Thompson said was perfect. If he's not going to play, if you're not going to give an effort, everybody knows it. He's like, I'm going to give everybody a chance here and do it. And I wouldn't be surprised if that continues to happen tonight. Hopefully it's a little bit different and you see better effort. You're at home, it's against Columbus, another team that's not great, one of the worst in the league.
They're barely tied with Chicago, surprisingly.
Right, exactly. So we'll see, but yeah, dude, thanks again for calling in. Anything else?
And then one more thing, I love Frost right now. He has 19 goals this season. I hope he has with a 20.
Yeah, it would be nice if he could add one or two more and get 20. A couple of guys I'd like to see score. Van Riemsdyk is one to get his 300th as a Flyer.
I mean, Van Riemsdyk's going to be gone after this season.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing, yeah. You want to see some of these guys continue to score, but yeah, thanks, buddy. I appreciate you calling in, dude.
Yeah, all right.
All right, Tristan. I'll talk to you.
All right, bye.
See you, man. There he is, Tristan. Yeah, so again, kind of like what we were just talking about. This season's been good. I think in some ways, obviously not great. Overall, they're going to miss the playoffs again for 3 years in a row. I think it's been good for me personally, and I've said this before, and I don't want everybody to flip out on me. I've said this before. I've liked this year in the sense of, the content that I've been doing, like this show, right? And I've had a great time doing this. The watch parties, they've been a lot of fun. Obviously, again, we're continuing them for the playoffs for the Phantoms. There's been some good moments, some bad. It's been a little frustrating at times. Again, we got 5 people in here. If anybody else wants to call in, join in on the conversation, remember, call in line 267-939-1216. Anything, question, comment, anything. Ring up the phone. Yeah, so, there's been some good moments, some bad moments. Lots of, players are kind of on pace for some pretty good seasons here. Konecny, 58 games played, 29 goals. So Konecny's going to play these next 2 games. If he doesn't get hurt, hopefully not. That would really stink. Needs one more goal for 30. Frost, like we just talked about. When Tristan called on the phone here, needs one more goal for 20. Tippett needs one more for 25. And Riemsdyk needs one more for his 300th in his career. So you'd like to see that kind of continue and those guys be able to score and just end the season on a good note and be able to get those milestones. Especially too, I think this team is going in the right direction. You're seeing different things that are starting to kind of, help and be able to help this team. Like you're seeing improvement from Frost. You're seeing improvement from Tippett. You're seeing growth in these players. Noah Cates is another guy that, everybody looked at like, he's pretty good defensively. Again, we didn't really, we only saw a little bit of Cates last year. Frost obviously had a big question mark. Signs a 1 year, $800,000 contract. Tippett gets the small bit of what we saw after the deadline last year. There were a lot of question marks. I think a lot of them got answered. I think for Tippett alone, right? He's been scoring. That's one thing on a team that doesn't score that much. You have Frost, who I think overall in every aspect of the game has improved defensively, winning battles, all of that different stuff. Same with Tippett. I mean, defensively, I think the two of them have been good. Obviously it's not been perfect. There's definitely some, moments where you look at it like, yeah, these guys probably have to improve, and then they're going to have to. But just overall, a lot of good things. I think Travis Konechny had a great season coming off of last year where everybody said to get rid of him. That was one of the main things. Travis Konechny is a player that I really look at as the guy that they can kind of build around with this. And it's a little weird to say because, he hasn't had that many, seasons like this, right? I mean, he had the one, and then he kind of fell off a little bit, right, in 2019-20. But since then, man, he's aggressive, and I think one of the main things that I really like about him is that the way he talks and the way that he presents himself now, he gets it. And I think that's really important for us, especially because we need guys, A, that want to be here, and B, guys that understand what we're going through and understand the things that we need to make ourselves a more enjoyable hockey club again to watch, right? And be a better team. That's the main thing. So I feel like, for us, right, you have a lot of different guys, and not even just positively too, but even on the negative side, you had a lot of questions like Ristolainen. Like everybody was like, oh my God, we have Risto for another couple of years. I think Ristolainen's been one of their best defensemen. Nick Seeler is another one, again, nominated for the Masterton Trophy, and it's incredible. I mean, out of hockey a couple years ago, signs with the Flyers. He was in Chicago in the bubble, on the practice squad, and now he's with us. It's like, dude, Nick Seeler's really turned it around, and he's another guy. Again, we need players on cheaper, smaller contracts, don't make that much money, all that different stuff. And Seeler is someone that I just look at, like, I was really hard on him in the beginning of his time here in last season, and I've completely changed, and I will admit I was wrong, and I was just wrong. Like, there isn't much else I can say. Oh, I just hit my light. There really isn't much else I can say. Like, Seeler has been really good for this team, like, defensively. I think there's hiccups here and there, right? Because, again, we're stuck in our own zone so much. But at the same time, you can't deny that there has been legit improvement. It's much more than last year. Now, I will say, there needs to be improvement in other areas. Special teams, power play, penalty kill. And I think this is kind of what Amadeo was saying here as well. He's saying this is probably the most disconnected he's been. And I as someone, we used to do the podcast together, like, and I can see it because, everything that he's been talking about is Phillies, Eagles, Sixers, not as much Flyers. And I get it. Like the team hasn't been that good, and there's no real reason to want to tune in every night. I think it's a little different for me, since everything that I have kind of done here. But as the season has progressed, and I actually did just get the email for the Flyers team awards, so I will read that in a second. But again, a couple other things, like, it's all just, it's frustrating, for the way that the last couple of years again. But I do think it's very important for us to kind of just keep moving towards, threading the needle. Because, again, the only way that we get out of this is if we keep winning. And it's exactly what Torts has been saying is, the more that you see the growth in some of these guys, and again, it's not all going to be perfect. I'm sure there's going to be nights next year where our building gets taken over again. And, it's unfortunate, but it's what we have to do right now. It's the growing pains, and it's exactly what John Tortorella has been saying. Some of the negatives, the penalty kill, the power play, especially the power play, it has seen no improvement since last year. That's a major issue going into next season because there's enough talent here to kind of change that. I don't think Rocky Thompson's done the best job. You can make the argument for the offense, but man, there's enough of it to have a better power play than the 14.9% that they've had for this season. And the penalty kill too. I mean, you have better players here. I know it's been different, in the sense of like Shaw. I think defensively the penalty kill's been iffy because there's been moments where it looks good and then moments where it looks like crap. But overall, it's been okay. Again, lack of scoring is another thing. Like I wish I wish more of our scoring was spread out, and it's kind of unfortunate because you wanted to see guys like Sanheim take that next step off of last season, and he just didn't. To me, that's more of a bigger concern than Ristolainen is Sanheim, because Sanheim again, like he doesn't drive the offense, he doesn't drive much of the play. He just hasn't been doing it. And if there's a guy that you'd like to see, again, if everybody can just end this season on a good note, and if they were to win a couple of these games, like 6-0 or 5-1 or whatever, I'd have it would be nice to kind of see some wins. Let's take a look at some of these awards for the Flyers. So these all these different type of things and the awards. So the Philadelphia Flyers presented their 2022-23 end of season awards on Tuesday prior to their game against the Columbus Blue Jackets in the Flyers Alumni Lounge at Wells Fargo Center. The Bobby Clark Trophy, which is the most valuable player, the Gene Hart Memorial Award, and Toyota Cup goes to Carter Hart. Hart takes home 3 of the awards. His first career win as Bobby Clark Trophy, most valuable player. It makes sense. I 100% agree with that. He's been one of the most valuable guys. And the Gene Hart Award in his second consecutive season, and then third career win for the Toyota Cup, which again, like I mentioned, is most all the 3 stars added up. Most outstanding defenseman goes to Provorov. That's surprising. That to me, I think could have went to Ristolainen. But it doesn't, again, I don't think Provorov's, he had a couple rough games recently. I don't think he's had a horrible season. Has he been great? No. But it hasn't been ideal. Pelle Lindbergh Trophy, most improved player, Owen Tippett. I like that a lot. That's definitely been something that's again, Tippett's been really good throughout the year, like we've talked about. Yannick Dupree Class Guy Memorial Award goes to Justin Braun, and that is Braun is the guy that played not as much this year, and I think it's pretty clear that he's going to be done. But again, Braun over the past couple of years, like, played more than he was supposed to, played first pair, all that stuff. Like, I genuinely enjoyed Braun for his time because I know he played out of position for like probably 80% of it. So that's kind of the unfortunate thing. But I'm curious, what's everybody in the chat think? Bill, how you doing? Thanks for tuning in. Pat Shea. Yes, I did rebrand. I have changed. I just took the name away. I'm still me. I made the name when I was 12, and as you kind of grow up, you think to yourself, well, this doesn't really make much sense anymore. So I had to change it. It's unfortunate. It still will be always be me though, and that isn't going to change. But again, I'm a little kind of surprised by these. You have the Bobby Clark Trophy, and Gene Hart and the Toyota Cup, that goes to Hart. Provorov winning the Ashby. I really didn't expect that. I was hoping that would have been Ristolainen. A lot of different things have kind of changed with that too, but I am getting a call here as well. Dad, go ahead.
What's going on, man? How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Okay. I'm fine. Listen,
what's
FFM
up?
FFM 93 will always be, but what they don't remember is you being the hard hat kid.
Yeah,
that's what you're always going to be to me.
Yeah.
I'm just saying.
Yeah, that's true.
Yep.
All
right, man. I just had to put that out there.
Okay. No question,
right,
nothing?
What's that?
No question, nothing?
I mean, Yeah, I agree with you. I would love to see them, blow out, have like a 6-5, 6-0 win. That would be great. End the season on a high note. Look, you already know you got to see with the draft. I mean, I don't trust the NHL. I mean, I've said that to you numerous times. Why don't we ever get to see the ping pong balls?
Yeah, that's
Seriously.
true.
You know what I mean? I'm going to take Bettman's word for it. Oh, and the Flyers, once again, number 2.
I mean, if we get number 2, I don't mind. I wouldn't mind 2 because we can only pick 1st, 2nd, 7th, 8th, or 9th. So 2 really wouldn't be that bad. I mean, we're getting either Michkov, Fantilli, Will Smith, like somebody in that, more like anybody in that area. That would be fine. Moving up from 7th. No, it's not Bedard, but it's still a good player.
I agree. Well, we thought that with Patrick too. You and I, we were all.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean that it's going to be this, same thing. So
listen, things happen.
Yeah. So yeah, we'll see. But all right, Dad.
All right. Peace.
All right, I'll talk to you.
Go Flyers.
Yep.
Love you, man.
Say it, love you. Yeah. So, I always laugh when he calls in. It's just he's literally sitting right outside my door. Yeah. So again, a lot of different things. Flyers taking on the Blue Jackets tonight. Drew hitting 1,000 points on my day. That's a good point as well. Yeah. G hits 1,000 points. It would have been nice if he did that as a Flyer. Played 1,000 games as a Flyer. That's easily the best Flyers game I've ever been to. Unfortunately, it didn't go so well for that season. But something could have changed. Again, Flyers taking on Columbus tonight. No Sealer again, like I mentioned. D'Angelo out again. Adam Guinea making his NHL debut. Bellows is out. Rocky Thompson will head coach tonight. Darryl Williams will on the Thursday. Last 5 games for each team. Tippett with 3 points, 2 assists, connecting with a goal. Braun is +1. Robinson with 3 points, 2 goals. Johnny Gaudreau with 2 assists. As for the goaltenders, Carter Hart and net. Merzlikins for Columbus. Hart is 21, 23, and 10, 294 goals against average, and 907 save percentage, and 2 shutouts on the season. Merzlikins is 7, 18, and 2, 4.23 goals against average, and an 876 save percentage for Merzlikins. He has no shutouts. He's had a really bad year for Columbus. It's kind of unfortunate. Mr. Twister is here. What's up, brother? Thanks for hopping in. Can't connect to NBC Sports. Oh, that stinks. Does that mean that means you can't watch the game? That's a shame. Head-to-head for both of these teams, Columbus, 18.1% on the power play, 14.9%. This game is going to be, for the average hockey fan, this game is miserable because both of the teams are stink. 25.8 on the penalty kill for Columbus Flyers. 75.8. I said 25. That would be a really bad penalty kill. 75.8 for the Flyers as well. So similar penalty kill. Face-off percentage, 48% for Columbus, 45% for the Flyers. And both the teams score and give up around the same, 2.6 goals a game for both. And then, Columbus gives up about 4 goals a game. Flyers give up 3.3. So pretty much the same thing for both of these teams. Again, we got some talk in the chat as well. Illegal stream route, that's always open. Unfortunately for me, I've never, I should say fortunately, not unfortunately. Fortunately for me, I've never really had to do that for most of the season. Thankfully, I haven't had any instances where I forgot to DVR the game. I did that a couple times, and I was like, oh, that was the worst, because then I have to sit through on my computer and shuffle through everything. But again, Flyers taking on the Blue Jackets tonight. Only a couple games left. Tonight against Columbus, you got Chicago on Thursday, and that's it. We're done with this season. The season's in the books. thanks everybody so much. Again, lighter show today. Will be more action packed. Next week we'll have a lot more to talk about, as well as the Phantom's kind of seating will get settled out. Jay Rosehill seems like, and then that's an iffy right now, but I will have an update on that. It seems like Jay Rosehill will be joining me, so that'll be a good one. Yeah, thanks everybody again for all the support as always. Yeah, thanks everybody, to everybody in the chat, Bill, Pache, Amadeo, Mr. Twister, my dad, Tristan, for calling in, all of that stuff, Jeffrey. Thanks everybody, for all the support as always, and I will talk to you all